So we are going to start the second Dhamma sermon of this Kalalgoda English medium retreat. May you give your consent by saying sadhu sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Ye dhamma hetuppabhava te sang hetung tathagato ah te sanchayo nirodho evang vadi maha samanoti. Dear Dhamma friends, as you all know, we are discussing Upanisa Sutta, which is available in Samyutta Nikaya, where the causations are discussed. Actually, Samyutta Nikaya has several areas, several sections, and the first section dealing with various utterances conducted by the Buddha with many celestial beings, and another section actually discuss certain causations, the Nidana Samyutta. And then we come across Khanda Samyutta, where the aggregates are dealt with, and then the Salayatana Samyutta, where certain kinds of explanation is given for the six sense bases. And then actually we come across a lot of methodologies available in the Mahavagga. So likewise a very systematic order is there in the Samyutta Nikaya. So this particular sutta is available in the causation area, where Buddha discuss about the causality or the dependent origination, and many suttas where Buddha discussed that has collected together and generated one volume called causation or the Nidana Samyutta. Now we have selected the Upanisa Sutta. Upanisa literally means the proximate cause, and their interesting point is typical Patissamuppada formula, what we typically understand, usually recognize or remember, is end up with suffering, starting with ignorance and then going towards the formations, then the consciousness, then name and form, then sense bases, then contact, and then feelings, then craving, then grasping, and then birth, and ultimately end up with suffering. But in this discourse, Buddha didn't stop there. He used suffering as a cause of generating faith. That's an interesting point. So whenever there is suffering, whenever there is some sort of sorrow, worry, so sometimes people start to look at a way out. And actually we can today apply that theory. Because nowadays people are going through some suffering, some kind of depressive things, and rather than simply get depressed, rather than simply get somewhat sorrowful, how about finding a solution? So that is where sometimes people get on to the Dhamma. And different kinds of people sometimes Buddha explain. Say for example, certain people are there, suppose that a little far away person has passed away, or he met with an accident or some sort of a calamity. So a particular person hears about it, and then he reflect, okay, same thing can happen to me, I better start to practice Dhamma, I better live a good life, I should be a good person, I should develop morality, I should develop concentration, I should develop wisdom. So likewise fair amount of urgency comes in this particular person even after listening to a very kind of a news which has happened far away. So such kind of people are there, and certain others don't care about that, so they continue enjoying life and neglecting all those things. But sometimes suppose there's a relative of him or her get into some kind of a problem, and then this particular was little shocked after hearing that he was so beautiful, she was so nice, but see how it has happened, and I didn't believe it, I couldn't sort of accept it. So likewise she or he is somewhat shocked by hearing such a news of one of his or her relative, and then he get on to the Dhamma path. So that is another group of people. But another group, even that doesn't care. I mean, even it happens to their relatives, they don't care. I mean, I am free, no, I am doing well, so nothing, no problem at all. But on the other hand, sometimes even to that group, so there are very close relatives, say their husband, their wife, their child, their mother, their father, their brother, sister. So very close relative met with the accident, met with a kind of an issue, kind of a tragic situation. Then this person gets shocked. Then the urgency comes in this particular person. So then he get on to the Dhamma path and he explores a way out. He explores a spiritual path, alternative. So likewise, people come into the Dhamma path. And to another person, even that happen, he doesn't care. But sometimes it happened to himself. He himself, she herself, go through a tragic situation. And personally he feels it now. Personally she feels it now. And going through a real shock, real tragic situation, and somehow assume that he or she recovers, and now the eye opened. I better live a good life. I better come to the Dhamma. I better practice. I better continue a good life. So likewise, kind of a rejuvenation or kind of an awakening happens in this particular person, and now he's or she's looking for an alternative in their life. So likewise, different groups of people are there. So at a given moment, there's a possibility of coming to the Dhamma path. But certain others, even that happens, they never come. So even such kind of people are there. Now here, Buddha in this Upanisa Sutta, as continuing with the typical Patissamuppada, the links, starting with ignorance and ending up with the suffering. So here Buddha used suffering as a cause of arousing faith. So when there is suffering has happened, so now one is searching for a way out, searching for a solution, searching for a better alternative. He or she was living in a typical mundane life and met up with some kind of a suffering. But now, rather than continuing the same typical path, now he or she is thinking about a different path. And now he or she have some faith in the Dhamma. Now, as a result of that, Buddha mentioned, so that faith, so at the beginning is very much, not much of factual. What you have is maybe a kind of a belief, kind of a respect. So, kind of a respect towards the Buddha, respect towards the Dhamma, respect towards the Sangha. So, likewise, you may have some sort of faithful attitude in yourself, but not yet fully convinced. But have some faith. Okay, Buddha has mentioned like this. Many people have sort of practiced like this, so their lives have changed. So likewise, you are quite faithful now. As a result of that, now you are somewhat leading the Dhamma path, starts reading the Dhamma path, listening to Dhamma. So likewise, you are now slowly changing yourself. So as a result of that, even a mild kind of happiness is arousing, kind of a gladdening happens in yourself. So that's a kind of an encouragement for you to continue the path. So this mild happiness, gladness happens in the mind. So as you continue, it can even grow to the level of rapture, where you feel fairly rapturous time to time when your faith improves as you getting more closer with the Dhamma, getting some understanding about the Dhamma. So that rapture also can happen. And again, when such kind of bodily, mentally happiness, rapturous experience is there, so you feel comfortable. Suppose you are trying meditation, at the beginning there was no that kind of rapture, instead a lot of problems were there. But because of your continuous practice, now say you are experiencing some amount of happiness, experiencing some amount of rapture. And time to time your mind get even concentrated. So that's rapture is therefore leading to what you call the passaddhi, kind of bodily tranquility and mental tranquility. So you feel comfortable, you feel calm, you feel quiet, tranquil. So when the body, mind become tranquil, so you further feel comfortable. Because so far there were many kind of jerks or aches, pains, but now they are absent. So you bodily even feel more comfortable, more happy. So what would be the next? Mind concentrates, further concentrate. Because our mind does not concentrate because it can't find happiness inside. So that is why it is always going out and looking for happiness outside. So if you look at your mind, so why is it so wandering? Too much wandering, why is it happening? So one reason is internally there is no much happiness. Internally a lot of frustrations, worries, finding fault, regrets. So internally mind doesn't feel comfortable. Not much happiness available internally. Then it is searching happiness outside. So, but when you feel tranquil, body also tranquil, comfortable, peaceful, so that means mind doesn't want to go out. Internally you are quite happy. So why are you going to go out then? So therefore, in order for mind to get concentrated, having this kind of tranquil, comfortable, happy environment within yourself is a must. So therefore Buddha's teaching, when you consider the practice, so having that comfortable posture, having a kind of a pleasant environment in yourself, and kind of a positive atmosphere, positive attitude, feeling that you deserve kind of a spiritual growth. So all these are kind of positive aspects of your life. So that actually has a severe impact on the concentration. So when you feel happy, now you probably have seen certain people are quite joyful. I mean, they don't need much of millions of money for them to be happy. Even even a wind blows, so they feel happy. Even the electricity comes, they feel happy. Even the slightest joke, they feel happy. So that's the nature of certain people. For them to have good concentration, it's not that difficult. I mean, if they orient their mind properly, if they get on to the practice, so they can easily get concentrated because they feel joyful. Internally, they are a kind of happy people. But certain others are very serious. I mean, they never laugh. So them, I mean, it is difficult to sometimes get concentrated. And even concentrated, sometimes even in the concentration side, they get stressed up. So therefore, I mean, you got to be a little joyful in yourself. I mean, there are enough reasons to be unhappy, but that is the life. But you need to accept those situations. But during our short lifespan, rather than spending more time in regretting, worrying, let us live happily, joyfully. So that is important. Reason to be glad, Pollyanna. So therefore, so having kind of a gladdening in the mind, rapturous in the mind, happy in the mind, comfortable, tranquil. So all these are causes for the mind to get properly concentrated. And when properly concentrated, so that is a prerequisite to examine various phenomena. Because you can understand now various phenomena available in the body, various feelings and the mental states. Now those are not we are trying to externally analyze through reading a book to understand. Rather, you have to observe these things. So various bodily phenomena you got to experience. You got to observe various different kinds of feelings. You got to observe. You need to allow them to manifest. At the same time, you got to observe them carefully with a attentive mind, concentrated mind, unbiased mind, silent mind. So this is a kind of a prerequisite. So therefore, in order for this type of wisdom to arise, what we call the meditative kind of wisdom, bhavanamaya prajna, one of the prerequisite is to have a very good concentration, and that concentrated mind has to be focused on various different kinds of phenomena. It could be bodily phenomena, it could be feelings, or it could be mental states, thoughts, or even aggregates, sense spaces. Many areas are there. So assume that you are doing that. You are trying to investigate. So the investigation leads to develop some understanding, more understanding. It's a kind of experiential knowledge now. It's not a kind of a borrowed knowledge from the Buddha or from someone else. Rather, you did some careful practice, spend fair amount of time, and as a result of that, you yourself understood. You yourself understood the behavior or the nature of different kinds of phenomena. Suppose you are observing elements. Again and again you are observing element characteristics, and then after a considerable period of time, you have your own understanding. You have analyzed, you have observed their behavior for a long time. As a result of that, you have some kind of insights available because of this observation. Now, if we apply it to feelings, pleasurable feelings, painful feelings, equanimous feelings, continuously you observe, investigate. As a result of that, you become kind of an expert in these feelings, and you know how they behave, what are their characteristics. So there, the wisdom arise is actually your own kind of wisdom, experiential wisdom, experiential knowledge. Suppose you are observing your own mind, so you have to allow the mind to play, to have different kinds of thoughts, and already you have to have fair amount of say mindfulness and clear comprehension, so that you are in a better position to observe. And when even defilements happen in the mind, you are not becoming a victim of those defilements. Rather, you are able to look at them, or take a kind of a step back and look at them, mindfully observe them. So that kind of a strength has to be available in your mind in order to develop vipassana, rather in the chittanupassana. Suppose if you have that skill, so you have to allow the mind to freely move. Then only it may freely move. Then you are freely observing, carefully observing. You allow the mind to move, and now you observe how it is behaving. And even with that, you get a lot of understanding. So one interesting understanding in all these different areas is Yankinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang. It is not an easy understanding, by the way. Appear like very simple. Yankinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang. Whatever is arising, and it has a nature of passing away. It has a nature of passing away. So if you can remember this statement, when Venerable Kondanya was mentioning, right? So when Buddha was preaching the very first sermon, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, so Venerable Kondanya had a great insight, Yankincha samudaya dhammang sabbantan nirodha dhammang. So that made Buddha to have a kind of udana explanation. Okay, Venerable Kondanya understood. So Venerable Kondanya has become a Sotapan. So you can see, it is his own understanding. Buddha is teaching, Buddha is explaining. At the same time, Venerable Kondanya may be practicing, observing various phenomena, and he properly understood, okay. So Venerable Kondanya therefore understood, so whatever the arising phenomena have the nature of passing away. It is common. It is common to bodily phenomena, it is common to feelings, it's common to various, mental phenomena, sankharas, formations, consciousness, everywhere. Whatever the condition phenomena are available, so this unique principle, this unique behavior, one can observe. And sometimes Buddha explained it differently. Tini mani bhikkave sankatani sankata lakkhanani. Monks, there are 3 characteristics of all the conditioned phenomena. What are they? Katamani tini. Upado panyayati, vayo panyayati, titassa anyatattam panyayati. You can recognize kind of arising cycle, beginning, arising. Vayo panyayati, you can recognize the passing away, fading away, ceasing. And in between, there's a viparinama. In between, there's a change. So everywhere you can apply this. So in essence, this is very much like the kind of principle of Parisamuppada, Idappaccheta. So you can recognize one conditions another cause, another thing. And when this condition arises, that causes another thing to arise. And when this is not there, the other thing also can't be there. And with the cessation of this, that also ceases. So likewise, our observation, our investigation has these kinds of very subtle insights. I mean, it's very much like obvious, isn't it? I mean, even a child may know, I mean, things are sort of arising and passing away. I mean, things are impermanent. But can we say, I mean, even we know, even scientists know, can we say that we all are Sotapannas then? Can't. Scientists are not in that sense. Why? So basically, I mean, we have to have kind of an insight practice. So it is not a kind of an external analysis. It is not a mental analysis. It's not kind of a rational analysis. So very much like you have to have a very quiet mind and free from proliferation, free from any bias and well focused. And the phenomena are readily available in this very moment. They are not past phenomena, they are not the future phenomena. Rather, they happen at this very moment. And you are ready to observe them, carefully investigate them. So that is more kind of a stronger type of insight that Buddha is recommending. And more you do such investigation, then slowly, so this understanding is growing. You can't say, I mean, immediately you get a full-fledged kind of an understanding. It's very much like a slow progress is there in the development of the wisdom. And when, as it develops, Buddha mentioned, so a term called Yathabhuta Jnana Dassana, seeing things as they truly are. So it could be bodily phenomena, it could be feelings, it could be mental phenomena, mental characteristics, thoughts, etc., etc. So you are now having a better understanding about all these different phenomena. Now, before going to the next steps, so the very first verse which I have referred in the Dhamma sermon is something that Venerable Assaji has mentioned to whom? To Upatissa. So Upatissa is going in search of a teacher, in search of Dhamma. So he accidentally met Venerable Assaji. He is not the Gangarama monk. So he is the one of the 5 ascetics monks, the Panchavaggiya bhikkhu. So when so this Upatissa asked, your behavior is very pleasant, you are having a very decent kind of behavior. Seems you are following a very good teaching. And what is the teaching? Actually, another way that we can look at this, now you can see if someone has followed a good teaching. So he represents that teaching, isn't it? So, I mean, how about today? So is it a problem of the teaching then? Now that's, something as Buddhist we have to honestly understand, isn't it? So we are inheriting a very good teaching from the Buddha. So Sri Lanka actually inherits that kind of a very powerful, pure type of teaching. And we as human beings, as practitioners, if we are properly following it, so a significant change has to happen in our lives. And with that change, the others may understand, okay, they are following a kind of a teaching. It has to have some depth. So that's why these people are behaving like this. If people are short-tempered, if people are killing each other, always worried, always stressful, arguing, so that indicates their lack of that kind of an understanding. Even though we hear from morning to end so many Dhamma sermons and all Paritta chanting, all sorts of things. But if we ourselves does not show the kind of their good results, so that means lacking in our side. So millions, thousands or millions of others coming from the Buddha's time have benefited. They have changed their life because of the teaching. So if we ourselves are not giving a proper example, that means still we are empty. Empty in the sense that we couldn't change ourselves by actually applying this teaching to our hearts, taking this teaching to our hearts. So therefore, whenever you are recognizing a very good teaching, Dhamma, one measurement is there are certain group of people who are following it, practicing it, and their lives have to be significantly changed because of that practice. Now here, Venerable Assaji is a very good example for that. So Upatissa has noticed that. So this monk is behaving very silently maybe, and his behavior is very pleasant, is maintaining mindfulness. So likewise, there are various external behaviors. So Venerable Assaji is showing, and Upatissa quickly understood it. So he is actually the Venerable Sariputta in the future. So he's a very sharp-eyed person. So he immediately understood these significant characteristics available in Venerable Assaji, and he approached Venerable Assaji and asked, "Whose Dhamma are you following? Who is your teacher?" Now the answer is giving, "Ye Dhamma hetuppabhava tesang hetun takagato aha. Tesanchayo nirodho evam vadi mahasamana. Ye Dhamma hetuppabhava tesang hetun takagato aha." Whatever the condition phenomena are available, so that particular condition, that great monk, great master is teaching. And not only that, even the cessation of that, passing away of that, that's also is teaching. Sanchayo nirodho evam vadi mahasamana. So this is the teaching which I am following. So even the very first two sentences, when heard by Upatissa, he becomes a Sotapanna. So that kind of a crux available in the Buddha's teaching. So when someone is with very sharp faculties, so he simply needs to awaken to this teaching. So you can understand how powerful that insight is. So we actually don't have such capacity, so that's why we need to again and again practice, again and again, strengthen our understanding, develop wisdom. But Upatissa, on the other hand, is a sharp-eyed person, a sharp faculty with sharp faculties, and quickly he understood, he penetrated the teaching, and many different angles he understood, and he became a Sotapanna. And when he was teaching it to his friend Kolita, at the end of the whole verse, he also became Sotapanna. So likewise, different skills are there from person to person. So we can't say, therefore, just because of hearing Dhamma that we all become Sotapanna. It's unreasonable to tell like that. Different people have different characteristics. Say, for example, even now, Venerable Upatissa, after he became Venerable Sariputta, he spent 2 weeks to become fully fledged Arahant. Venerable Kolita, Venerable Moggallana, within 1 week he became Arahant. But on the other hand, how about Buddha's son, Venerable Rahula? Spent long time to become an Arahant. And say Venerable Ananda, long time to become an Arahant. And say Rattapala, Venerable Rattapala, long time. So likewise, even during the Buddha's period, so different people, different monks have different levels of understanding, different levels of faculties. So as a result of that, can't help. You have to spend time till these faculties are growing. So we need to admit, okay, I am not at the level of Venerable Sariputta. I have to be honestly understand that. I have to be quite humble in that sense to understand my own capacity rather than overestimating myself. So then let me practice. And even, on the other hand, Bahya Daruchirya. Very short time he became an arahant. So it depends. So therefore those are different personality characteristics. Anyway, now, so these are kind of insight practices. As you observe these conditioned phenomena more and more, so this observation, investigation causes insights to arise. And you can't forcefully arouse these insights. Rather, you need to, prepare the necessary causes. Now, say for example, if the concentration to arise, so the necessary conditions should be available. So what are the conditions? So you have to have, according to this formula, what we discussed today, the Upanisa Sutta, Saddha, faith causes pamujja, the gladness. Gladness causes rapture, piti. Piti causes passaddhi, tranquility. Passaddhi causes sukha, happiness. And happiness causes concentration. So you can see even there kind of a causal relationship is there. Even though we wish concentration, if we don't have the necessary conditions, mind can't get concentrated because the necessary conditions are not available. But on the other hand, if we are preparing the necessary causes, obviously then the output, the result should be available. So likewise, it's an entirely a conditionality, even here it is working. Now, when Buddha mentioned this understanding, because of the investigation, the understanding arise, what we call the Yathabhuta Jnana Dassana, seeing things as they truly are, when that understanding arise, so what is the result? What's the next step? Now, so it's a kind of a different result in a way. Now, there's a very interesting simile Buddha has given in another occasion. Suppose there's a blind person. So this blind person being cheated by another cunning person, telling that he has sold a really dirty cloth, because this blind person can't see, no? So somehow this blind person get to know, there are very good nice clothes, and he was interested of buying that. I'm little changing it for the context. And now he is approaching someone, and this fellow is a cunning person, and knowing that this one is blind, so he has sold a very dirty cloth. But what is the perception the blind person has? He's thinking, I am wearing a very clean, very beautiful cloth. So that is what he asks. Assume that he has gone to a shop or a particular seller, and you give some money and you ask, I need this color shirt, this color that, and blah blah blah, and you ask that. So if he's an honest merchant, then he will give that, no? So the blind person has thought like that. But unfortunately, what is given is an entirely dirty, unclean, and ugly kind of a shirt or kind of a cloth. But the blind person is thinking, okay, I am wearing a very nice cloth, and he is going to a carnival or homecoming or wedding or whatever it is, because he is wearing the very best clothes, isn't it? Assume that he was not indicated by someone else, and he has his own understanding. No, he now believing this guy who sold the cloth. Now, so Buddha mentioned, now somehow, now relatives are there of this blind person, and so they start to help him to treat the eyes. Now they found a very good eye surgeon. They channeled the doctor. And so they brought this blind person there, and so without much cost, somehow assume, so this blind person get fully recovered. Now he is looking around and oh, what is this? Ultimately he recognized, oh, I am wearing a really dirty cloth. I mean, it doesn't look nice. That fellow has cheated me. Do you think it take long time for him to throw this away? To give it up and to wear a good cloth? So then why he was so attached to this dirty cloth so far? Due to lack of understanding, isn't it? He didn't know that. He didn't know that he is wearing a dirty cloth. He didn't know that he is wearing an ugly cloth. So therefore he was attached to that. He is protecting that. He identified with that, showing that, telling that I am wearing a very beautiful cloth, and he is going to wedding and all those things, because his wrong understanding. But when he has proper understanding, when he has his own eyes to see, when he sees things as they truly are, it won't take long time for him to throw it away. So similarly, Buddha mentioned, so when a person has a better understanding, true understanding, seeing things as they truly are, so what would be the next results? So you simply throw away, have kind of a dispassion towards where we have given kind of a value. So we have given value to Rupa, we have given value to feelings, we have given value to perceptions, we have given value to formations, knowing, and all sort of different conditions, khandhas or sense bases, whatever it is, which we are attached to, are now being fully investigated and understood. They are impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self, and these kind of insights are available. So these kinds of insights, knowledge, vision is producing kind of a dispassion towards these things, kind of a disenchantment about these things. Whatever that we were attached to, whatever we were claiming as myself, belong to me, are all now become somewhat not worthy of attaching, not worthy of grasping, not worthy of holding, not worthy of telling that it belongs to me and I am this and that, not worthy of telling like that. So that kind of a radical change has to happen in our mind. So with the understanding, if there is a strong understanding in ourselves, so the end result is that sort of a dispassion, that sort of an understanding, that sort of a disenchantment, and you are ready to relinquish. Like that blind person, he is ready to relinquish the cloth because he understood, it is not nice, it is not beautiful, it is not clean, that fellow has cheated. So that is the kind of a change, radical change, which has to happen in ourselves. So as we more and more investigate whatever the phenomena, conditioned phenomena, now he is ready to give up, ready to let go. And so after letting go, what is available? Where are you going to hold? I mean, you can't hold any conditioned phenomena. That's the interesting point. So whatever the conditioned phenomena you have observed, investigated, assume that you did Kayanupassana. So comprehensively, probably you understood the nature of the body, all the physical phenomena, and you understood they are impermanent, unsatisfactory, I can't expect lasting happiness from them, they doesn't behave the way I like. So likewise you have certain amount of understanding about the body, the physicality, and you are ready to give it up. But if she doesn't have enough understanding about the feelings, probably he may attach to feelings, or he may attach to perceptions, he may attach to formations, even consciousness, whatever it is. Now, if you are analyzing, investigating all different kinds of conditioned phenomena, comprehensive analysis, comprehensive investigation, if you do to all different kinds of aggregates, that means you are slowly developing that insight. Now mind is not ready to attach to the body, not ready to attach to feelings, not ready to attach to perceptions, not ready to attach to formations, not ready to attach to consciousness. Where is it going to establish? Nowhere. It can't find somewhere to get established. It can't appreciate, okay, this is a good place to grasp, good thing to grasp. So what is the result of the mind then? It gets freed. Vimutti. So, that blind person relinquished the shirt, whatever the cloth, and he is free now. He's free from that dirty cloth. So similarly, a yogi, so when the relinquishment happen in the mind, the letting go happen in the mind, so if it happen properly, so it can't find another object to attach. Actually, so far, what we were doing is when we feel bored about something, we attach to something else. Say you feel bored reading a newspaper. Now you go to, say, listening to music. If you feel bored there, say you listen to news. More exciting. If you feel bored there, say someone is talking, bored. And now you again go and listen to music. Likewise, we are always jumping to this and that, always try to entice ourselves, always try to excite our mind. That is how we were continuously going on in this life journey. So we are not ready to endure boredom even. What do you think? Are you ready to endure boredom? So when your mind is free, so what are you going to experience? So from where are you going to get the excitement? Enticement? Joy? From where? Through the sights? Through the sounds? Through the smells? Through the taste? Through the tangibles? Or through the thoughts? You can argue, you can think about it. So logically, when your mind gets freed, why it get freed? Because you had a kind of an insight. That's all conditioned phenomena is not worthy of attaching, not worthy of holding. And mind assume that temporarily it relinquish everything, it become free. Now, from how is it getting happiness? So it's an interesting question, isn't it? So actually one monk has asked that from Venerable Sariputta, what is the happiness in Nibbana? Because if typically in our jargon, in our typical wisdom, knowledge, so either you have to be happy with seeing sights, beautiful sights, films and this and that, dance and all these things are a way of enjoying. Or you go to a musical show, listening music and all sorts of things, and that is how you become happy. Or you go to a shop and smells and all these things, with that you try to become happy. Or you are enjoying some food, delicious food, with that you are trying to become happy. Or you be with someone, or you go through some good sensations, tangibles, tactile sensations, and with that you are trying to be happy. And if you don't have even any of those, you can have a good imagination, fantasizing, or maybe very interesting thought. Even that you can have, no? Some people are philosophizing, intellectualizing. With that also a fair amount of happiness you can derive. In Nibbana, what is available? In emptiness, what do you get? Sounds, smells, tastes, sights, thoughts, thinking. Thinking? No? You can't have, isn't it? Thinking also condition. Thinking also conditioned phenomena, sankhara. So if you are trying to think the good thoughts, temporarily you can say I am happy, comparatively, rather than being angry. So I can spread metta and I can feel happy. But how about maintaining that? How are you going to maintain loving kindness whole life? Very difficult, isn't it? Because it's a conditioned phenomena. You need to purposely think. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be free from suffering, may you be happy, may you be free from suffering. So you are conditioning the mind. So you are trying to attach to a conditioned phenomena. But Buddha didn't give that kind of an answer. That is why, when you come across Chittanupassana, so Buddha consider even wholesome thoughts as well as unwholesome thoughts non-judgmentally. The same way he considered. And all are conditioned. Wholesome thoughts are conditioned. Unwholesome thoughts are also conditioned. So then your mind is now turning towards unconditioned in that sense. So whatever is not arising, whatever is not going through any kind of decay, death, and that is where the mind become open, unestablished, not having any footing, and assume that temporarily your mind get freed like that, and you got to try to be there, just be there. So if you try to do something, then again you are promoting sankhara, something conditioned. I am not telling that we all have fully become sotapannas or arahants. We don't need to go through that kind of a wrong understanding or overestimation. Rather, assume that we were developing the path, come across at least some temporary release of the mind, and once we are there, so we need to fairly try to settle there, be there. Because we can't say that at the very early stages that my mind is completely free from everything. Say you are practicing Kayanupassana, Dhatu Manasikara. As I mentioned, still mind may not have enough understanding about the feelings. So even though you have fair understanding about the bodily phenomena as impermanent, unsatisfactory, non-self, as a result of that you let go of that. But if mind doesn't have enough understanding about the feelings, it may go and attach with feeling. It may go and attach with the perception. It may go and attach with the formation. It may go and attach with the, say, knowing part, say, eye, knowing with eyes, ears, nose, etc. So in order to even remove that, now you need to refine your attention. So first of all, you went through some gross phenomena, you understood their impermanent nature, unsatisfactory nature, non-self nature using the Kayanupassana, and through which you were able to find out a relatively free state of mind. But it doesn't guarantee mind is completely freed. So there may be subtle attachment. There could be subtle attachment towards feelings, subtle attachment towards perceptions, subtle attachment towards formations and the consciousness. So how are you going to eradicate that? So you have to just be, and you have to further refine your attention. You have to strengthen your mindfulness, strengthen your wisdom. And with that strengthened attention, strengthened wisdom, strengthened mindfulness, only you can understand, yes, there is a subtle attachment to a feeling, subtle attachment to a mental formation, subtle attachment to loving kindness. Don't you have? Say for example, you presume, okay, now mind is free, but you feel a little comfortable, isn't it? Say when the mind becomes free, some amount of comfort is there, kind of a pleasurable feeling, and automatically there's a tendency to get attached to this pleasurable feeling, comfortable feeling. That is also attachment. So therefore we can't immediately say just the relinquishment of bodily phenomena completely guarantee the relinquishment of all other phenomena. If we have a fair comprehensive practice on all different, say, areas, all different 5 khandhas, that's a possibility. And you also have a very concentrated mind, and now it has let go of all the feelings, perceptions, formations, consciousness, but it has only investigating bodily phenomena. Even if that is let go of, now we can say, okay, fair enough, it has become completely unestablished. Good. These are practically, when we are theoretically we can say so, but when we are practically implementing it, so we have to practically handle it. So that is why when the mind has let go of bodily phenomena, let me be with that, let me season there, let me familiarize there. Then your mind become further refined, can understand the other subtle attachments and let go of all these subtle attachments and assume one day, probably you might experience a complete emptiness, complete letting go, no establishment at all. So that is why we need to practically involve there, or practically continue our practice, just being there and recognize where mind is now inclined towards. Where is it going and grasping? Where is it going and have some sort of a desire? And even so, when Venerable Ananda asked, all the Vipassana practitioners, Bhante, are they going to experience full Nibbana? So Venerable Ananda asked. You can refer Ananda Sappaya Sutta. So Venerable Ananda asked from the Buddha. What's the answer? No. Then Venerable Ananda was a little surprised, because they were doing full interesting Vipassana practices and they are now experiencing emptiness. Emptiness. They are experiencing emptiness. And Venerable Ananda asked, Bhante, are these practitioners, are they going to become arahants? No, not all. Then why is it not? Next section. And Buddha says, even to that emptiness, people can attach. You can see, how cheating our minds are. We can have a kind of an attachment towards even emptiness, even the kind of experience that we are having. So we have a kind of an inclination, attachment, and you like to be in that, in the sense, you are going to some deep concentration, deep emptiness concentration, and you like to dwell in there. Kind of an attachment. Vipassana concentration, but still attached. So therefore, Buddha mentioned, so if even you are attached to that, it doesn't take you to Nibbana. So, Nibbana in that sense, Buddha refers as Ragakkhyo, Dosakkhyo, Mohakkhyo. These are all temporary releases, just to recognize defilements. Defilements are the main culprit, not the other things. So we one day has to recognize, okay, why I can't maintain this, even while walking, even while going closer to goal face, why I can't maintain? Why? Because of defilements. I am getting attracted towards that. Now someone has mentioned, right? So I am trying to take care of my mind. When my family members are talking that, I get attracted towards that. Why? Because of my own issues. My mind has a kind of an inclination. Others can agitate me. Others can agitate my mind. So the problem is in myself. So others may be blaming. If I am getting angry, you can say, I am an innocent person, I am correct person. You can justify. But still, if I get angry, there's a problem in myself. So we have to look at it in that way. So until we completely remove defilements, we can't guarantee, okay, we are completely free. I'm not telling that we have to be completely, we all can do that in this very life. Could be difficult. But one important area is to use all these emptiness concentrations or whatever the understandings that we come across to recognize defilements. So ultimately, defilements become our main enemy in that sense. So it doesn't mean that we have a kind of a grudge towards the defilement, so that is becoming another defilement, no? So we have to carefully handle it. So we have to make use of whatever the understandings we have, whatever the emptiness concentrations we have, whatever the stable mind states we have, in order to recognize defilements. So, in order to recognize, then we have to allow these states to break. Then only we can understand why it has broken. What was the reason? What was the exact defilement which has arisen, to which I get grasped again, which I get caught again? So, practically we need to handle, we have to arouse various situations to recognize various defilements. Then probably we may understand, okay, I again put a kind of personality view. I saw her, I saw him, again kind of a lust arouse. Why? Because I put a personality view. I consider her, he as a person. Kind of ignorance is there, kind of attachment is there, lust is there. So I have to honestly understand, still lust is available, still ignorance is available. Say you go through someone and which you don't like, hatred arises. So there again you have wrong understanding. There's a person here, there's a person there, and I don't like him. So all defilements in that sense. So how we interpret. So therefore, huge area is there for us to explore. So various tools Buddha has given, all what we gather here, various skills, various tools are kind of equipments, tools for us to do this kind of lifetime exploration. Whenever we come across different experiences, whenever we go through lifetime experiences, so that is where the really battle happens. Not in Kalalgoda, but in various other places. That is why we need to have kind of a guard in our mind, have a kind of vigilance in our mind. So where this fellow again get caught, where my mind again get attached, where my mind again get sort of angry. So honestly we have to understand, they are the problem, they are the defilement. And once you are able to relinquish that, once you are able to save yourself, to let go of that defilement, not to get caught, then again mind get released. So the release has to be expanded, enhanced again and again when your mind get caught. So ultimately therefore Buddha mentioned, so with liberation, with vimukti, as a result of that you have kaya jnana. Means kind of an understanding how you are going to live by relinquishing all these things, letting go of all these things, allowing things to cease, allowing things to fade away rather than grasp. So these things may not happen, overnight. These things may not happen just by stuck in a particular samadhi. And these wisdom, these kind of knowledges, insights may happen with our own life experiences, by going through hardships, by going through various ups and downs, vicissitudes in our lives. So how are we going through with them? Probably you can remember Venerable Sona. So Venerable Sona was a very good practitioner, hard practitioner. And he was living alone and he was practicing. And one day he was thinking to disrobe. Why? Because he was practicing so hard and his friends, most of them have fully attained arahants and he get the news. But even though he also a good practitioner, hard practitioner, he couldn't. Now he got a little disappointed about it and he thought of disrobing. Now fortunately Buddha noticed that. And Buddha approached him and he has given a kind of a simile of tuning a lute. In today's term, say tuning a violin, say for example, or guitar. So if you want to tune it properly, are we going to tight it severely, each and every thread? Or are you going to keep it loose? So you have to properly, that is a tuning, isn't it? Tuning means you have to maintain its proper strength or proper tension, isn't it? That only will produce the proper tone, proper whatever the tone. Yeah, tone. So similarly, in ourselves also, whenever you are experiencing some sort of a freedom, now you got to tune it. Not by hard practice in that sense. Not by completely becoming sort of lazy either. So you have to balance this. Now balancing of faculties is so critical. As we move forward in our practice, so we have to have a kind of balance. So where my mind get attached, where things have gone wrong, to which direction now mind is inclined towards, or is it properly now in the middle? So you have to have a kind of a perspective about your mind. Is it properly now in the middle? No stress, no tension, feeling little glad, and no attachment, and there is no even a thought, no object. Well and good. What are you going to do now? Nothing, done. You are good. Suppose, no, there is a little tension. I am thinking about something happened in the past. Someone has passed away. I am thinking about that. A little worry has arisen in the mind. What are you going to do now? Have to do some little adjustment, isn't it? But it is because it is not in the middle. A little worry is now, a slight worry is bothering the mind. You got to feel it. Now mind is not in the equilibrium, not in the equipoise. So you need to notice that kind of a worry is bothering the mind. Kind of a tension is slowly growing. I am thinking about that, whatever the incident happened. So you need to admit that, okay, kind of with some self-compassion, you need to admit it. Okay, this fellow again, trying to get on to that wrong track. And wisely we need to bring it to the middle. Suppose you are sitting cross-legged, practicing, early sitting. So mind go and stay in a very comfortable, concentrated state. Good. Spending more time, it's very blissful. Very beautiful. Spending there more time, another 10 minutes. I better skip the breakfast. I can spend another half an hour. What do you think? Is it all right? Now you need to understand, okay, now mind is attached. Mind is attached to a conditioned phenomena. It's a feeling, a blissful feeling. Mind is attached to some conditioned phenomena and trying to find happiness with that. Better get up. Destroy concentration and just be in the neutral state. Just go and have pure bread. No butter, no jam, no luminis. Better have that rather than being in that, attached to that blissful experience. As Vipassana practitioners, we have to be, in a way, we have to radically think like that, isn't it? It's beautiful experience, blissful experience, and automatically I get attached to that. I am thinking of skipping the breakfast and spending more time in this blissful, concentrated state. All indicate an attachment. Attaching to this clock and attaching to a blissful mental state. Do you find difference? Object-wise different, but attachment is attachment. We are the ones have given different, measurements, different values. Okay, attaching to this watch is not that good, but attaching to a blissful mental state is not that bad. So that is how we interpret. But attachment is attachment. So likewise, as we are going through our practice, so it's a very kind of a broader kind of investigation and very down-to-earth investigation, honest investigation that we need to continue. So you need to admit all the kind of faults we have, all the kind of drawbacks we have, shortcomings we have, all the tendencies we have, different value judgments we have, all we need to sympathetically, compassionately admit. And now without strengthening them, so let me just be in the neutral state. So in the neutral state, there are no thrills and excitements and bliss and all sorts of things. Just normal living. What do you think? Even scientifically, now they have found, even if your brain to have a most healthiest state of condition, what do you think? Is it the sorrowful mentality going to be the most healthy state of mind? Then how about kind of a happy, blissful state of condition? Is it the most healthy state of mind or the brain? Even the scientists have found having a kind of a balanced mind, equilibrium, in the middle, not excited, not sorrowful, is the most healthiest state of the brain even. So even these things are now being proved by the scientists. So Buddha has given the path, shown the path just to be in that very equilibrium state of mind. You don't need to excite it, you don't need to sort of worry it, rather just be in the middle, kind of a middle path Buddha has shown, free from any attachment, free from any grasping, not established anywhere, just maintaining that non-grasping, non-attached, non-exciting, empty kind of state. Even scientifically it has a value. So therefore, that's why even Buddha has mentioned, Kayeva cheva parama satchang satchikaroti. Even bodily you may feel no stress. Kayena cheva parama satchang satchikaroti. Even bodily you may feel, I am going through kind of a state of equilibrium. Mentally there is no distress, no stress, no despair, no regrets, and no even kind of a very kind of excitement, but maintaining fair amount of equilibrium, equipoise in the mind. That is more useful, more fruitful than having a blissful, exciteful kind of a state of mind. So therefore, these are interesting findings that Buddha mentioned here. So when the mind is free, so you are using that as a foundation to enhance your understanding, recognizing various defilements, and with that developing a kind of a knowledge, what we call as kaya jnana, you can say as the knowledge of the distractions, knowledge of the relinquishment, knowledge of letting go, knowledge of how things pass away. Whatever the conditioned phenomena, you are understanding they have the nature to pass away. No point of attaching to them, no point of establishing them. So likewise, Buddha concludes this sutta, Upanisa Sutta, very beautifully, comparing the typical mundane kind of Patisamuppada, and on top of that building the supramundane path, kind of a path to liberation, and ending up with very powerful insight. Okay, with that I like to conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening.